And now, it's Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on CL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Gray.
Crisis was averted and the Major League Soccer season got underway this weekend. Vancouver Whitecaps FC, Toronto FC kicking off their MLS seasons against one another Saturday night at BC Place. Perhaps the Whitecaps wishing that the season was, in fact, postponed for an extra week, because in the first time in their short Major League Soccer season, the Whitecaps on the losing end of the season opener. The first time that the Caps have lost a season opener. They've played Toronto FC now 3 times in season openers. 2 wins, 1 loss. Big one tonight, though. Toronto FC, meanwhile, they've got the looks of a team that could be very fun to watch this year. Giovinco looks like he's going to be a playmaker, big-time playmaker at the stat. Just 5'4". Small package. Big results. And the big man, Jozy Altidore, looks like he is a man determined to score a lot of goals this year. Scored 2 already for Toronto FC. Good evening and welcome. This is Soccer Talk right here on CIL 650, broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. My name is Tyler Green. You can find me on Twitter at TylerGreenFC. The show available online at CIL650.com. Thank you for listening or watching on the webcast as well. The Kickoff brought to you by KO, Kevin O'Toole, and findaproperty.ca. You could have woken up this morning, rolled out of bed, and basically crossed the street and went to the Whitecaps game in a dreamy designer condo. But it sold out about 3 weeks ago now, and it was only on the market for about 2 weeks. That's how quickly Kevin O'Toole can get your house on the market and sold. You can get the details on what Kevin can do for you at findaproperty.ca. That's Kevin O'Toole, licensed realtor with Royal LePage Sussex, online at findaproperty.ca. Elsewhere in Major League Soccer, Montreal look like they are back to their losing ways in the Major League Soccer season. This after advancing in the CONCACAF Champions League. The LA Galaxy once again look very, very good. They opened their season on Friday. Robbie Keane, seemingly very angry Irishman in that game on Friday as well. But they got a good result. A good start for Major League Soccer after a week, really, of not knowing whether the season would start or not. They finally agree on a CBA, and the adventure of the 2015 Major League Soccer season begins. And we will talk about some of that tonight. But also a lot of Whitecaps chat. We'll hear from a lot of the Whitecaps players as well. Some guys from Toronto FC. It does lead us to our Barber poll tonight after a Whitecaps 3-1 loss to Toronto FC. What does the Whitecaps loss to TFC tell you about this Vancouver side? The Barber poll is presented by barberandco.ca. Tweet us your thoughts with the hashtag Barber poll on Twitter at SoccerTalk650, at TylerGreenFC. Of course, you can also weigh in by using Simon Fudge74, our Goal.com correspondent, who will be joining us momentarily here on the program. The Barber poll is brought to you by Barber & Co., Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambion 18th, and the corner of Main and 12th. Find them on Twitter at Barber & Co. or visit barberandco.ca. Got my haircut there from Martin Rivard and the boys earlier this week. Heading down to the warm, sunny temperatures of Arizona this next week. So I had to get the short haircut. Had to clean it up to basically get through the border. all the scoring in Major League Soccer, there were also some clean sheets this weekend. Did you have anybody that got a clean sheet? If you did, if you were in the Major League Soccer Fantasy League, hey, you could join ours. You can visit facebook.com/SoccerTalkVan for all the details on how to join. Prizes from Umbro Canada, tailoring football since 1924. Visit umbro.com to see their latest products. A couple of clean sheets, though. Those are good for 6 points. Then Octavio Rivero scored. Josie Altidore, he had a pair of goals. Robbie Keane on Friday night, he scored. Goal scorers in there, some clean sheets. Did you have any of them? Again, join our MLS Fantasy League, presented by Umbro at facebook.com/SoccerTalkVan. We'll hear from the Whitecaps head coach Carl Robinson on the program tonight. Midfielder Mauro Rosales thinks that the Whitecaps let themselves down in the second half. Toronto FC head coach, meanwhile, Greg Vanney, well, he tells us why TFC got the better of Vancouver at 10:30 this evening. But up next, we'll go around the world with the starting 11 next.
Follow us on Twitter at SoccerTalk650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on CIL 650.
The family story begins generations ago on Via Tevere, a street in the heart of Naples, where food was the celebration of life. Today, in East Van, Via Tevere Pizzeria Napoletana honors their family heritage with La Vera Pizza Napoletana, pizza that showcases authentic Neapolitan ingredients and the time-honored tradition of wood-fired cooking. Come experience La Vera Pizza Napoletana, true Neapolitan pizza at Via Tevere Pizzeria, 1190 Victoria Drive, and look for the Via Tevere Neapolitan Express food cart around town.
In training players for the beautiful game, you must first recognize the beauty of their natural skill, then foster its growth in a healthy environment. So it is at Bevo Agro, the premier supplier of propagated plants in North America. From the beautiful potential of seeds and seedling, Bevo Agro grows tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, berries, and bedding plants to healthy perfection in their state-of-the-art greenhouses. It's beautiful work. Learn more at Bevo, B-E-V-O agro.com. Bevo Agro trades as BVO on the TSX Venture Exchange.
What do you want?
A balcony so high it looks down into soccer matches at BC Place.
A pub I can walk to with a dozen big screens.
Kevin O'Toole has created findaproperty.ca to help you find it. Designed to be simply straightforward, findaproperty.ca is an invaluable tool. That's Kevin O'Toole, Roy LePage, Sussex, for buyers and sellers in the greater Vancouver area like you. So find what you want.
A backyard big enough for my own soccer pitch.
At findaproperty.ca.
Not that your stylist at the salon isn't doing a good job, but man, you deserve the big red leather barber chair experience of Barber & Co. Here's how it works. Go to barberandco.ca. Book your appointment at one of the 5 barber shops in Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie at 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. You can just walk in, too, and get your hair cut, hot shave, buzz cut, fade, or beard trim experience. A great wedding party idea, too. barberandco.ca.
This summer, Canada's women's national team will be wearing Umbro jerseys as they play for glory in the world's most prestigious tournament. Umbro, the official uniform and gear supplier to the Canadian Soccer Association, is a supporter of all soccer, from local teams to the world stage. It's also the name worn by the world's top players. If you want your club to play a world-class game, equip and dress them in world-class gear. Find it at umbro.com. Umbro, tailoring football since 1924.
This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on CIL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
From the Barber & Co. studios, this is Soccer Talk, and it's starting 11 time. You can tweet us your thoughts with any of the starting 11 questions on Twitter at Tyler Green FC. Or my co-host, as we welcome Goal.com writer Simon Fudge to the program at SimonFudge74, or tweet the show at SoccerTalk650. And we'll start with number 1 on the starting 11. How important was the Impact's win over Pachuca in the CONCACAF Champions League to Montreal's 2015 season?
It should provide a boost. It seemed to generate a lot of interest in Montreal, especially from the reaction even in the press there, from what I heard during the week. I still have my worries with this team in terms of how well they will do this season. I still think it's a team that's got a lack of goals, and the fact that they struggled today in their season opener in MLS against DC United, a 1-0 defeat at RFK Stadium. Whatever they can get to get people interested in the team will be a boost, because it could be another difficult year for them.
I think it was a boost in terms of getting people excited, and the possibility of winning something and being in a competition. I really thought that having to play competitive games really 2 weeks earlier than the rest of Major League Soccer would have really fired them up and got them going, and really I thought carry over into this game against DC today. Didn't happen. Maybe DC got that boost because they were also in Champions League play, but I think it's going to be a boost in terms of playing those competitive games and giving people something to be excited about. But other than that, like you said, I think there's some issues there with Montreal and their team. They're just not quite there yet in terms of goal scoring and some of those other aspects. They're still missing one or two pieces, and I think it might be a bit of a distraction to start the season, and they might find themselves in a bit of a hole to start the Major League Soccer season.
Number 2, do the Impact have a chance of making the CONCACAF Champions League final when they play Costa Rica's Liga Deportiva Alajuelense in the semifinals?
Yes. We talked about this before they played a Mexican side. The Mexican side in Pachuca has the advantage. They are probably the better team. They are the more informed team. They are a team that's playing right now. But you play in these type of competitions, and anything can happen. And Montreal went out and showed that, hey, anything could happen, and they got a result that benefited them. I think they have the ability to go and do the exact same thing against this Costa Rican side, and by all means, they could be in the finals, in the next few weeks here.
They have a chance, but this is going to be a tougher tie. They're playing a more motivated opponent, one that I don't think is going to take them for granted like I think Pachuca did in the quarterfinals. And do remember that the second leg, the decisive leg of this tie, will be in Costa Rica on turf in what is a very intimidating ground that Alajuelense play in, and I think has been the big reason why they've gotten this far. They've been able to really get the better of their opponents at home in this competition. And let's not rule out a certain Jonathan McDonald factor, a man who was here very briefly in 2010 with the Vancouver Whitecaps, a guy playing up front now for Alajuelense, and it would be kind of ironic if he played a real decisive role in this tie.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. No doubt it's going to be tough, but there's always a chance that you can make it. Number 3 on the starting 11, how encouraged are you by Canada's start at the CONCACAF U17 Championship in Honduras?
Pleased so far. Good results, encouraging results. A very good win against Costa Rica, 3-2, and a 1-1 draw with Mexico. They got to finish up, and they need to finish up strong when they play St. Lucia and Panama in their group stage games, and work their way into it. If that could get them to win the group, then obviously that's automatic qualification for the Under-17 World Cup in Chile. But I'm thinking it'll go into a knockout stage. So good so far, but they've got to keep going.
Good so far, and I like the start, but as much as I think they probably have enough to at least get second spot in the group if they can finish off strongly, because Mexico has that tiebreaker in terms of the goal differential, etc. I think they have the ability to go out and possibly even make the U17 World Cup. But here's the thing: it's very encouraging. But we've seen this from a U17 squad from Canada in years past. It's all about what these players do beyond this tournament. Can they then progress to the U20s and make a World Cup? Can they then progress on to the Olympic team, to the Canadian men's national team? As much as it's great at this level, we've seen this before, and it hasn't progressed as these players have. So it's exciting, but they need to take that next step when these guys get a little bit older as well.
Number 4, Will the Canada's U17 squad qualify for the FIFA Under-17 World Cup in Chile?
I'm going to say yes. I don't think they're going to get that automatic qualification spot from winning the group, but I think they're going to be able to do what it takes and play across the other group. And I think they're going to be able to get through and make it so.
Same for me. I think they will get through, but it'll be a knockout stage victory. I think Mexico will win Group B and take the automatic spot out of that group. But I can see them making the trip to South America in the end.
Number 5 on the starting 11. According to reports, a number of senior Major League Soccer players were left unhappy by the new CBA deal that was just reached just a few days ago between the league and the players. Do they have a case to be upset?
No, I don't think so. I think their expectations of being able to get the kind of free agency they wanted from absolutely nothing was a little bit over-optimistic. And I think in a lot of cases it was some of the more real senior players in MLS that seemed to be the most upset, according to one or two reports. They need to realize, those that were upset, that some progress here has been made, even though it may have been very small or modest, towards, getting free agency for players that play in this league.
You know what? As much as I think they have a right to be upset, the problem is, you're going to be upset about this, but at the same time, you look at it and it's, well, not everyone's going to be happy. If guys got free agency at a younger age, well, then maybe the league minimum wouldn't be where it is, and maybe some of the younger players would be upset. Not everyone's going to be a winner in player with negotiations between the league and the club, or sorry, with the league and the players. It's the same as trying to get a contract. You have a year that you think you're worth this much, the club thinks you're worth this much. There's always a little bit of both sides being a little upset. So, this is what happens. They have a right to be upset, but hey, you know what? This is how it is, and the majority of the players want it to be this way. And like you said, it's a starting point. Things are going to get better. Yeah, a lot of these guys are going to be at the end of their careers and maybe not be able to partake in the next CBA, but it works, and it's a work in progress.
Number 6, Toronto FC beat Vancouver 3-1 at BC Place on Saturday night. Is this the year TFC finally get things right?
I think it is the year that they finally get things right. What does that mean exactly? Well, I think it's a playoff position. I think maybe it's a playoff victory. Maybe they're the first Canadian team to actually get a playoff victory in Major League Soccer. What I like about Toronto FC is that, yeah, they went out and spent a lot of money and brought in some players. But they also, unlike other years, is they picked up some team players, some guys that are going to be very, I think, intricate parts of the team and very and fit into different spots. The spine of the team, I think, is very strong with Toronto FC, and that's a good thing. But they didn't just go out and buy names and have a bunch of players lacking in the rest of it. They went out and they actually filled some of those needs and fix some of those needs that they've required. And so I think that's what makes me think that they're going to get things right.
I'm still with a wait and see with the Reds, but the signs are good. There is a concern, much like last year, that the TFC will be a little over-reliant on their three big guns, Altidore, Bradley, and Jovinko, and how much they need them to really drive things this season. I mean, let's face it, they do, but how much almost every game and at every instance during the season to get them to where they want to go. I look at Benoit Cheroux, a Robbie Finley, Perkis in the back. Do those players step up in that sort of supportive role to what you just referred to and provide that little extra boost that they're going to need at some point as they go along to try and ultimately achieve their aims?
The problem is that when I look at that and your answer that they're going to rely too much on, Bradley, Giovinco, Altidore, you could say that about 15 of the Major League Soccer teams. I think that most of MLS teams are relying on 2, 3, 4 players to make sure that they are a good side, and very few of those teams have, like an LA Galaxy, have such a strong showing at almost every single position There's not a lot of teams like that in Major League Soccer. There's a lot of teams that are relying on one or two players to really make them go, and I think Toronto FC is just another one of those examples. But like I said, I think they added enough pieces elsewhere that's going to make them step their game up a little bit. Number 7 on the starting 11, Whitecaps. Well, they played the long ball quite a bit today. Are they a little too predictable in their style, Simon?
They were today, and they were for quite a bit of last season as well. There was talk from the players today after the game that there was a lesson to be learned from this result and this performance. And if there is a lesson to be learned, is to find a way to be less predictable with their game. I certainly thought in preseason, the way they were passing and moving the ball, that their foundation, I even wrote about it this week in goal.com, would be in the possession and passing game that they seem to want to forge. Seeing them be as direct today as they were was a little bit surprising, and I think it's something that they've got to, if they're going to use, they cannot use as much and as often, because it'll be the same old story. They will be as predictable as you stay.
Yeah, I would agree with you. You know, last year it was guys like Darren Maddox, Kekuta Manneh, Erik Hurtado, pass the ball through, let them go chase after it. They did that again today, and the problem is that teams figured that out last year, that if you just backed off, you didn't play a high line, you played back, well, then those balls would just go off at the end of touch line, or the defender was able to win it at that point with a header, what have you. And the Whitecaps kind of did that again today. They sort of played those long balls through to the open space for Kekuta Manneh. Well, then all of a sudden, Toronto FC just kind of backed off a little bit, and those balls weren't available. Now, there were a few other problems that Vancouver had in that second half, namely some poor passing, etc. But it was, here's the game plan, and Greg Vanney will talk about this. Here's the game plan, and this is how we're going to beat you. And then once they solved that problem, Toronto FC that is, Vancouver just didn't have any sort of creativity or plan B. It just didn't seem to be there. And so, you know, if the Whitecaps want to be a top-tier team, if they want to take that next step, they're going to have to find different ways. Here you have Pedro Morales, who's, you know, probably one of the best number 10s in the league in terms of being able to put a ball where he wants it to. You have Mauro Rosales, who can also, you know, extremely good at crossing the ball, putting the ball into difficult and dangerous positions for the players up front. Why aren't you utilizing these players and allowing them to do that? Instead, it's, you know, trying to kick 40, 50-yard passes over the top of guys, and teams are going to figure that out way too quickly.
Number 8, with the new collective bargaining agreement now in place, will the next Whitecap signing be veteran striker Robert Earnshaw?
I think it should be. I would like to see Robert Earnshaw, because for me, when you look at the Whitecaps bench today, they had speed demons in Darren Maddox and Erik Hurtado and not much else. And sometimes you need a player that has a little bit of a difference, something a little bit different, and I think that Robert Earnshaw has that eye for goal, knows how to score goals, and also knows how to get himself into good, proper positions, and I would like to see him be the next signing.
I think Carl Robinson needs to make that signing as well, because he needs an experienced head amongst his arsenal of young attackers. In many ways, why Earnshaw has remained in the squad, if he is not going to sign, would be quite baffling. So if he wasn't going to be staying on and potentially putting pen to paper on a contract, I think he would have moved on long gone. It would have been long gone by now. So I think he would be a good piece at this point in time, even if it was just for this season, because you know, I think he brings a bit of that experience in the head. He's got a lot of wisdom, and he may be able, in terms of from a formation standpoint or just a little bit of a change, just bring something a little bit different, because we talked about predictability. Can he be a piece that maybe takes the element of that predictability out of the squad, and they've got a little bit more of a dynamic look to their attack?
Number 9 on the starting 11. What was the biggest bit of disappointment coming from BC Place on Saturday?
Well, just how the Whitecaps let the game get away from them. That was probably the thing that really alarmed me, especially in the second half. for the way this team had really prepared as concertedly as it did with its fitness, with the energy it showed in training and its preseason games, I didn't expect them to kind of come out in the second half and really lose their way. I really do wonder if the equalizer, Toronto C's equalizer today, a well-orchestrated goal on the half-hour mark, really took the wind out of their sails, and it was just then a slow and gradual decline downward a little bit that allowed Toronto C to just, by the time they came out in the second half, get grip of the game, create a very good winning goal, and run away with the 3 points.
The biggest disappointment for me was just the fact that the Whitecaps had so many chances, and you would have thought that they learned from last season that they need to finish off teams. And talking with Greg Vanney, the head coach of Toronto FC, he admitted that it could have been they could have been done and dusted in that first half. It could have been game over if Vancouver was able to capitalize on so many of those chances and was able to get the go-ahead goal and then just start packing them on. And they weren't able to do that, and for me, that was the biggest disappointment, that we didn't get to see Kudamane finish one of those chances. He had so many chances that we didn't see Rivera, who had that sitter in very early on, and then he got his goal, but that we didn't get to see him score at least 2 today, because this could have been a very different story, and that for me was the biggest disappointment.
Even Pedro Morales, he had 2 or 3 very good sights at goal, and I said early in the second half on Twitter, it was if he was a golfer today, he'd be slicing the ball all over the golf course today because his shooting boots were definitely not on. Number 10, other than the Whitecaps versus Toronto C match at BC Place, what opening weekend MLS match has intrigued you or intrigues you the most?
The one that intrigues me the most is the one tomorrow on Sunday. It's the New York City FC, Orlando City FC game. What is it? Over 60,000 people going to be at the Citrus Bowl to see that opening game. I'm very excited to see what that game brings. To me, Orlando City is one of those teams that has really done a lot of things right with their player selections and just everything that they've put together. This year for me is very exciting, and it's funny. I tweeted this earlier, and it's one game, and for me the real question is sort of in 2 weeks when they play the Whitecaps, because for me the Whitecaps aren't necessarily a huge draw for teams out east. They don't have big name players. They don't have this cachet of being a really exciting team or really have won anything in Major League Soccer. So they're not a team that's going to draw a lot of people. So in 2 weeks, when Orlando City play their next home game against Vancouver, are we going to see a huge crowd again? Are we going to see 40,000 people? Are we going to see a smaller crowd? Are we going to get that idea that, hey, they're making a stadium that seats just over 19,000. Well, they better scrap those plans and put a few extra seats in there. That is, for me, going to be the big exciting game. I want to see what happens. And I want to see, because it's probably going to be sunny and warm in Orlando. I want to see if New York wears the black jerseys. That could be interesting as well.
The game, exactly the same game as I've got as well. Orlando against New York City. Not just for the Citrus Bowl and the fact that it's going to be full, and I think it's going to have a great buzz and atmosphere. But this Orlando City squad with some of the players, Brian Rochez is probably the one player I'm very interested in seeing. I saw a lot of good things with him in the Honduras U20 squad at the CONCACAF Under-20s in January, and I think this young kid's got something about him that could make him one of the better young strikers in this league. So those kind of players that Adrian Heath has got in his squad that really are intriguing to me. That supporting cast around Kaká. It's going to be really interesting to watch that game tomorrow.
Finally, number 11 on the starting 11. We switch gears, talk some Canadian soccer, some Canadian women's national team soccer. And starlet Jessie Fleming is being described as the next Christine Sinclair due to some of her performances at the Cyprus Cup. Is it too early for such superlatives, Simon?
Yes, I think it is. I mean, she's still a teenager who, despite the promising talent that has been shown, and I saw it firsthand here when they played Japan late last year, She hasn't made it yet as what I would call a successful full senior international player. And I'm the kind of person that the idea of overhyping a player or anything in life is never really a good thing.
I like it. It's who's the next Messi, who's the next Pele, it happens all the time. And I think, I think it is a good thing in sports, because I think then it gives kids something to look forward to. I want to be the next so-and-so. And, you're going to get overhyped for sure. It happens in hockey all the time. It happens, look at Brazilian soccer. Everyone's the next so-and-so. It's happened so many different times. It was, Ronaldo. Then it was the next Ronaldinho. Then Kaká was sort of the next one. And now Neymar's the next one. So it's exciting. I like it. Can she live up to the hype? Well, let's find out. It's her time to shine. World Cup's coming. Can she play an integral role and be that next superstar Canada needs so badly? Because once Christine Sinclair retires, who's going to score the goals? Perhaps she's the one. Well, it's time to find out.
Totally agree in terms of the idea that they need someone like her to be stepping up. And there's no question the platform of this Women's World Cup could be one that really launches her onto that national stage, or international stage. And that would be wonderful. But, for me, I just think that, hype brings pressure, and I don't think it's a great thing that you put that kind of pressure on a young player, as talented as she is.
Sometimes pressure is a good thing. You can find out whether a player has what it takes or not. Our Barber poll tonight, the Barber & Co. Barber poll. What does the Whitecaps' loss to Toronto FC tell you about this Vancouver side? You can tweet us at Tyler Green FC, at Simon Fudge 74. Cameron Lee weighing in. Great first half, but no finish. Also, Morales needs to keep it simple. He's trying to do too much. Barry Luca, players look tired. Maybe more conditioning required. And Anthony, it's told him that it's just game one. Again, you can weigh in at Tyler Green FC, at Simon Fudge 74, at Soccer Talk 650. Greg Vanney, head coach of Toronto, said Vancouver was predictable. But Caps midfielder Mauro Rosales explains what he thinks what happened to the Whitecaps in the second half in just a moment.
Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on Sea Isle 650.
BC Soccer, the provincial sport governing body responsible for the promotion and development of soccer in BC, is a professional, not-for-profit society committed to inspiring British Columbians to lifelong active, inclusive, and team play. BC Soccer would like to thank their partners, as well as the players, referees, coaches, volunteer administrators, and other soccer leaders who dedicate thousands of hours to this beautiful game. For information on getting involved in soccer, coaching courses, referee courses, and any other BC Soccer program, visit bcsoccer.net.
Because the beautiful game's always been very social, Soccer Talk with Tyler Green invites you to get social with them. Join Soccer Talk on Twitter and Facebook for the latest on the show, promotions, previews, game coverage, and prizes. Plus, they love it when you interact. Get into the game. Get social with Soccer Talk. Become a friend at facebook.com/SoccerTalkFan and follow the guys on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650, Tyler Green FC, or Simon Fudge 74.
The Straight Razor Shave, a leading man classic. Steady hand coaxing the rugged face back to smoothness. This nearly lost art has found revival at Barber & Co. Hot towel, straight edge blade, and your face. It's an experience that reminds you you're alive. You're a man in the company of history's finest men. Start at barberandco.ca. Pick your barbershop in Yaletown, Gastown, the Financial District, Cambie at 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. And relax into the big leather chair for the shave of your life.
As soon as you see the first kick and hear the crowd chanting, you realize there's no other sporting atmosphere in Vancouver like this. Vancouver Whitecaps FC 5-pack start at just $149. Choose any 5 regular season home matches and save up to 32% over buying individual match tickets. Get your tickets now at whitecapsfc.com/tickets.
In training players for the beautiful game, you must first recognize the beauty of their natural skill, then foster its growth in a healthy environment. So it is at Bevo Agro, the premier supplier of propagated plants in North America. From the beautiful potential of seeds and seedling, Bevo Agro grows tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, berries, and bedding plants to healthy perfection in their state-of-the-art greenhouses. It's beautiful work. Learn more at Bevo, B-E-V-O agro.com. Bevo Agro trades as BVO on the TSX Venture Exchange.
This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on CIL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
TFC's Greg Vanney, Whitecaps FC's Mauro Rosales in a moment, but first Simon has the matches of the week presented by Via Tevere Pizzeria Napolitana, 1190 Victoria Drive, serving up true wood-fire Neapolitan pizza in East Vancouver. Simon?
Yeah, the key games for in MLS this weekend were, for me, Houston Dynamo. And Owen Coyle's first win as MLS head coach, as a coach in MLS, as the Houston Dynamo beat Columbus Crew 1-0. Portland Timbers drew 0-0 with Real Salt Lake in the other highlight match in MLS. In England, FA Cup quarterfinals, Aston Villa beating West Bromwich Albion by 2-0. They're in the semifinals despite being in relegation trouble in the EPL. The big one on Monday is Manchester United versus Arsenal. In Germany, Schalke beat Hoffenheim 3-1 in the big game of the day in the Bundesliga. Italy's big games are to come. Napoli against Internazionale on Sunday and Lazio against Fiorentina on Monday. Spain saw Athletic Bilbao beat Real Madrid today by 1-0. The other big game there is Atletico Madrid against Valencia tomorrow. And in France, Paris Saint-Germain are on course to possibly win 4 competitions. That includes the French League and the UEFA Champions League. They beat Racing Club de Lens by 4-1 today in the Championnat.
Thanks, Simon. And by the way, John Molinaro in town, our friend from Sportsnet for the game tonight. Next time John's in town, we're taking him out to Via Tevere for sure. Caps, meanwhile, losing 3-1 to Toronto FC on a beautiful Saturday afternoon at BC Place. Toronto FC head coach Greg Vanney, he spoke to the media post-game, and, well, the Whitecaps, we talked about it, the Whitecaps seem to have a certain style that was, well, being a little bit predictable, and, well, Greg Vanney talks about just that in his post-match comments.
In the end, very nice. I thought in the second half we definitely pulled it together a little bit. The first half was a slow start, and we were fortunate. I think they didn't take some chances, but we definitely organized some things a little better in the second half, and I thought we very much deserved it in the second half. So,
what were the adjustments you made? Because, I mean, the first half seemed pretty much they were really killing you with their speed. So what, the second half, obviously, I thought you looked far more composed. What were the changes you made?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I thought we were very reactive. We just weren't recognizing that what they were doing, which is receive the ball, turn, and put the ball behind you, especially over towards Mane. And we were very slow to respond or anticipate that was the ball. Second half, we did a better job of organizing that and recognizing, taking away the space behind us. Then they had to play in front of us a little bit, and that allowed us time to get our midfield into the defending effort a little bit more, and they became a lot more predictable for us. And that was, once you solidify things defensively, then we had to just adjust a couple of things on the attacking side to be a little bit better and cleaner in possession, and opportunities were going to come off of that. And I thought we handled the adjustments well, and guys made good decisions. We got ourselves a lot more organized, and as a result, I thought we really took control of the game.
Is that one of the goals coming out of the half was the touchdown to service to Mane? Because he provided a lot of kind of electrifying moments in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, with Warren there, it's Warren's picking up one of his first few games in that role, and he was looking to get advanced in some attacking positions. But what's happening is in transition, they were hitting that ball pretty blindly just to that space behind us, and so we needed to reorganize a little bit, maybe not be so aggressive on the right side, and asked Warren to go only when he knew he was going to get the ball versus every time. And we just had to, again, we had to drop and give ourselves a little bit of space to make them play in front of us, and we did that.
And then meanwhile, Whitecaps midfielder Mauro Rosales, well, he had a different take on the match.
It was a tough one, but we had a lot of positive things in this game, so in one part. We're happy to what we did in the first half. I think it was outstanding first half, just pressing all over the place, getting chances, a lot of chances, and I think we should have the same mentality to the second half. We couldn't connect passes in the right way, and we let them play, and they have good players. You can see the quality of their players, and they had, I think, half of the chances that we had, but they did it better in the end. So this is why they got the result. But we are positive about what we did and the mentality that we won and we had in the first half. Have to be for every single game and extend it to the second half, because I think that was our mistake.
Did you feel it was more you guys in the second half, or something they did to change the things around?
I think what we showed in the first half, it was the real team that what we been working on it, and we couldn't keep it in the second half. So we, like I told you, we didn't connect the right passes. We missed a few of the important passes in the middle to try to play through and give the ball away, and we were not in shape. We were not in a good position to recover. In that moment, Toronto got the second goal, so it makes it more difficult and tough for us to come back. So looking forward to working that and try to not make the same mistakes and learn from this game. We knew it that we were going to face a good team, and we are in a good level, and I hope we can keep what we did in the first half.
And they did do very well, Simon, in the first half. They did bring a lot of pressure to Toronto FC, but they, like Greg Vanney said, we knew what they were going to do. We kind of saw what they were doing and how they were attacking. We made an adjustment. But much like last year, the Vancouver Whitecaps weren't able to then make a readjustment and do what they needed to do.
Exactly, and it was quite stunning, the contrast today. I think we have to give TFC and certainly Greg Vanney a lot of credit, certainly to get that readjustment done right tactically. I'm impressed by the fact that he was able to recognize that very quickly, and make those adjustments, because one of the things that was happening to them up until they got level was the way that even Octavio Rivera, with making runs in behind, and his speed, particularly his quickness over a short distance, was very impressive. He was causing Stephen Caldwell quite a number of problems just by getting in behind him and putting him under pressure. So, the fact that they were having those issues, and the fact that they were trying to play a high line and that wasn't working very well, they could have paid very dearly, and probably in many respects should have paid dearly for it, and they didn't, and they were able to come back and get grip of the game.
Meanwhile, it really had a few guys talking about the game and how it turned out. And Carl Robinson, head coach of the Vancouver Whitecaps, really kind of summed it up in how the game went. Here's what he had to say post-game.
They take the chances, we don't take our chances, and that's what the game is about. The game's not about what you do in the middle thirds, it's about what you do in the boxes.
It really is that simple. It's a short clip, but it really is. You look at the halftime stats. Vancouver had 5 shots on target and came away with 1 goal. Probably should have had more, especially at least 2 goals when you think of Rivero's chance. Toronto FC, on the other hand, 1 shot on target, 1 goal. They really took their chances, were able to capitalize and finish them, and Vancouver just has had some trouble finishing off teams when they've had the opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, this could have been a very different game, especially if they even got to 2-0. If they were 2-0 up 20 minutes in, the tone of the game would have been that much more different, and then it would have been interesting to see if the confidence that TFC was able to sort of find as the game kind of developed on, especially when they got into the second half, would have been there for them to try and overturn a larger deficit than just the one goal. So, again, we're talking about a Whitecaps game and a performance where we've been left with a lot of what-ifs, and in the end, it's seen them looking on the outside looking in.
Russell Teibert, he chatted with the media, and he was asked the question of why the change from the first half to the second half. What happened?
It's hard to say what had happened. I think we went away a little bit from what we're good at, which is passing the ball and creating chances and being clinical in the final third, which we were.
Really, it was a little bit of that, because as much as the Whitecaps did well in the first half, Toronto made that adjustment, and it didn't really seem like there was a plan B. From the OptaStats chart, Pedro Morales had 16 passes of 35 yards or more. So it was really sort of, let's play this long ball, or I don't know what else we're going to do.
Well, when they got down 2-1, it was interesting to see Morales kind of come back in front of the back line, almost in what would be the holding midfield position, try and take command of the ball and try and do a lot himself, either play a pass, make a move. I also was kind of a little bit disappointed with the way he tried to try and beat his opponents today in one or two occasions. He was not very successful trying to get past one or two TFC opponents. He was getting dispossessed quite easily when he attempted to do so. I didn't think he was as good on the ball today that he has been in previous games, and that needs to be better because we know how talented he is. We know how he has the ability to pick a pass and open things up, but I think one of his downfalls is if he gets into that bad habit of trying to do too much. And I think today he could be accused of having to that he tried to do so, especially when they were trailing.
Speaking from the other side of things, on Toronto FC's side, Michael Bradley, he spoke with the media post-game and talked about the result from a TFC perspective.
Early on here, certainly they caused us trouble with their speed and their athleticism, their mobility. But I thought once we got a grip on that, we handled the game pretty professionally and pretty well. I thought especially in the second half, in terms of understanding what the game was about at that point, being able to play, find little pockets, move for each other, and then defensively control situations. I thought that part was all very good. And in the end, for me, a great way to start the season, a great road performance, and huge 3 points.
That was the thing with Toronto FC that we didn't see from Vancouver, is they made those short little passes, kept possession, moved the ball around. From Vancouver, it was really a lot of long ball play, and you need to see something a little bit different if you want to be able to change your style mid-game.
Yeah, and maybe when they went down 2-1, the Whitecaps lost that discipline in their play. It could be maybe the best explanation as to why they got direct and effectively got quite predictable and played into Toronto's hands, especially with the way that they set up in the second half. And that's a big thing for any team is if their strong point is in a particular way of playing, it's maintaining that discipline to continue to try and play that way no matter what the scenario and situation is. If the situation changes and you get away from what you're good at, then you lose grip of the game. And you wonder today if Vancouver allowed that to happen.
The other thing, too, is when you look at some of the changes that Vancouver made, those substitutes that they brought in, Gershon Kofi looked terrible, did not look good at all. And with what Toronto was doing and just backing off, to me it just bringing on two other guys that were speedy in Darren Maddox and Eric Hurtado just weren't really players that I would have looked to have brought on. I would have went with somebody like a Nicholas Mosqueda, who's not necessarily going to try to run past you with a ball or run through. He's going to look to play the ball, and I think that's what Vancouver needed. They needed somebody that was going to try to take the ball and play with the ball as opposed to just long ball kicking.
Yeah, when Maddox came on especially, but it could be said of Hurtado as well, they ended up being very peripheral in the game. And, you know, you're right. The thing with them being so speedy, you know, again, it's about them trying to run onto things and get into space in behind their opponent. And Toronto were just not going to give that to them at that stage of the game, or those particular type of players, what they were going to be looking for. So they ended up really not being the kind of factor coming off the bench that certainly Carl Robinson would have hoped for. So a Mosqueda, I think, would have been a far better player to use, you know, in behind the front line to possibly open them up.
You can weigh in on any topic that we discuss here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk at Soccer Talk 650, at Tyler Green FC, at Simon Fudge 74. Harjeet Johal, better known as Har Journalist on Twitter. She's weighing in on our topic about Jessie Fleming. Is she the next Christine Sinclair? She says Fleming is not, stressing not, the next Sinclair. They're different types of players. She said she's only 16. We don't want to place lofty expectations on her, because it would be a shame if Fleming flames out. But she's agreeing with you, Simon.
Well, I mean, she is a very talented player, and I think there's every opportunity for her to really make a name for herself this summer in this Women's World Cup. But, yeah, she is only 16 years of age, and, you know, I think we need to be careful of making more about what she is and what she potentially could be to where she is at this moment.
And we're not saying that they're the same type of player. We're just saying the same importance to Canada. Christine Sinclair is probably the most important player to Canada right now. Jessie Fleming, could she be the most important player to Canada? Different position, obviously, but or different spot, etc. But, you know, still might be one of the most important players for Canada. Put those expectations on. You can weigh in at Soccer Talk 650, Tyler Green FC, Simon Fudge 74. Quick timeout here. When we return, final few thoughts on the Whitecaps FC home match. Their first of the season ends 3-1 to Toronto FC. I'll give you my final cut thoughts right after this.
Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on Sea Isle 650.
Coach education continues to be a major priority for BC Soccer as mandated age-specific coach education is required by June 1st, 2016. BC Soccer offers and delivers Canada Soccer's national certification courses within the community sports stream, focusing on long-term player development stages, including active start, fundamentals, learn to train, and soccer for life. For more information on BC Soccer's coaching courses and registration, visit bcsoccer.net/coach or talk to your local soccer club, league, or district.
In training players for the beautiful game, you must first recognize the beauty of their natural skill, then foster its growth in a healthy environment. So it is at Bevo Agro, the premier supplier of propagated plants in North America. From the beautiful potential of seeds and seedling, Bevo Agro grows tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, berries, and bedding plants to healthy perfection in their state-of-the-art greenhouses. It's beautiful work. Learn more at Bevo, BEVOagro.com. Bevo Agro trades as BVO on the TSX Venture Exchange.
The family story begins generations ago on Via Tevere, a street in the heart of Naples, where food was the celebration of life. Today, in East Van, Via Tevere Pizzeria Napoletana honors their family heritage with La Vera Pizza Napoletana, pizza that showcases authentic Neapolitan ingredients and the time-honored tradition of wood-fired cooking. Come experience La Vera Pizza Napoletana, true Neapolitan pizza at Via Tevere Pizzeria, 1190 Victoria Drive, and look for the Via Tevere Neapolitan Express food cart around town.
What do you want?
A balcony so high it looks down into soccer matches at BC Place.
A pub I can walk to with a dozen big screens.
Kevin O'Toole has created findaproperty.ca to help you find it. Designed to be simply straightforward, findaproperty.ca is an invaluable tool. That's Kevin O'Toole, Royal LePage, Sussex, for buyers and sellers in the greater Vancouver area like you. So find what you want
A backyard big enough for my own soccer pitch.
at findaproperty.ca.
Not that your stylist at the salon isn't doing a good job, but man, you deserve the big red leather barber chair experience of Barber & Co. Here's how it works. Go to barberandco.ca. Book your appointment at one of the 5 barber shops in Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie at 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. You can just walk in, too, and get your hair cut, hot shave, buzz cut, fade, or beard trim experience. A great wedding party idea, too. barberandco.ca.
This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on CIL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
It is time for the final cut, brought to you by Barber & Co. on Twitter at Barber & Co. 5 full-service barbershops for your big haircut, hot shave, buzz cut, fade, and beard trim. Get the ultimate barbershop experience, whatever you need for any occasion, whether it be a wedding, whether it be looking good for a job interview, or whether you need to get through airport security like I do. 5 locations to serve you in Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie and 18th, and the corner of Main and 12th, barberandco.ca. And for the final cut today, it's only one match into a long Major League Soccer season, and of course the Caps could turn things around very quickly when they face Chicago next weekend. But Vancouver just didn't look right today. It's one thing to watch in Oz. Pedro Morales sends 40 or 50 or 60-yard balls across the field to a teammate with insane accuracy, but it's something else to actually see the player that receives the ball to do something with it. We just didn't see that enough today. And while the beauty of what Morales does is breathtaking, it also has revealed that, in general, the Whitecaps just didn't seem to have a lot of ideas of what to do to generate some offensive chances when Plan A wasn't working. There didn't seem to be a lot of creative flair that we have often seen, well, they just didn't look like they could complete even some of the simplest of passes in today's game. Kekuta Manneh has blinding speed, but he didn't seem like he knew what to do with the ball when running at the opposition. Mauro Rosales has extremely dangerous crosses, but it just didn't seem like anyone could get on the end of them today. And the set pieces were something that Vancouver was going to be fantastic at in 2015 with the likes of Ka and Kendall Waston. But they look like they were in previous years pretty inept today. Vancouver didn't have a complete game on Saturday against Toronto, and while at times they did look good, they also looked poor. The substitutes didn't come on and change the game, and for the most part, it was a fairly forgettable experience for that sellout crowd at BC Place. But like I said, it's game 1, and when they come back to BC Place in about 3 weeks' time, they better be firing on all cylinders.
It was real humbling for this team today, and you could see it in the faces of not just the players and the coaching staff, but the entire club. It would be nice to think that after a day's rest tomorrow that they get back to work as early as Monday and just put a little bit more focus and get back to work, and maybe it'll just make them realize that they've got a lot more work to do, and that might make them get to where they need to be.
Our Barber & Co. Barber poll tonight is, what does this Vancouver Whitecaps loss to Toronto FC tell you about this Vancouver side?
That there is a lot to room to improve in a major way, and again, they need to find a way of being more dynamic attack-wise, whether it's a formation, style of play, maybe adding 1 or 2 pieces. They've got to get the predictability out of their game, particularly in their attack play, because they're not going to win a lot of games this season if they don't.
I Heart Raj says, it says that we have flashes of brilliance but still need to work on playing a full 90, but he says the future is bright. The ref was horrible as well. So that is I Heart Raj. For me, it's just that the Vancouver Whitecaps have a great game plan to start and can really attack players, but they need to have that secondary plan and be able to change things up. For the crew here at Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk, my co-host Simon Fudge, you can find him at goal.com and on Twitter at SimonFudge74. There's Greg the Hammer Ballack. A special thank you to Thomas Rage and Fred Anco Thank you for your continued support. My name's Tyler Green. You can read me in 24 Hours Vancouver on Wednesdays or at tylergreen.org. Thank you for listening to the program. You can download the podcast. All the details at CIL650.com. Facebook.com/SoccerTalkVan to find out the MLS Fantasy League contest presented by Umbro. Soccer Talk returns next Saturday at 10.
Follow us on Twitter at SoccerTalk650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on CIL 650.
As soon as you see the first kick and hear the crowd chanting, you realize there's no other sporting atmosphere in Vancouver like this. Vancouver Whitecaps FC 5-pack start at just $149. Choose any 5 regular season home matches and save up to 32% over buying individual match tickets. Get your tickets now at whitecapsfc.com/tickets.
BC Soccer, the provincial sport governing body responsible for the promotion and development of soccer in BC, is a professional, not-for-profit society committed to inspiring British Columbians to lifelong active, inclusive, and team play. BC Soccer would like to thank their partners as well as the players, referees, coaches, volunteer administrators, and other soccer leaders who dedicate thousands of hours to this beautiful game. For information on getting involved in soccer, coaching courses, referee courses, and any other BC Soccer program, visit bcsoccer.net.
The family story begins generations ago on Via Tevere, a street in the heart of Naples, where food was the celebration of life. Today, in East Van, Via Tevere Pizzeria Napolitana honors their family heritage with La Vera Pizza Napolitana, pizza that showcases authentic Neapolitan ingredients and the time-honored tradition of wood-fired cooking. Come experience La Vera Pizza Napolitana, true Neapolitan pizza at Via Tevere Pizzeria, 1190 Victoria Drive, and look for the Via Tevere Neapolitan Express food cart around town.
The Straight Razor Shave, a leading man classic. Steady hand coaxing the rugged face back to smoothness. This nearly lost art has found revival at Barber & Co. Hot towel, straight edge blade, and your face. It's an experience that reminds you you're alive. You're a man in the company of history's finest men. Start at barberandco.ca. Pick your barber shop in Yaletown, Gastown, the Financial District, Cambie at 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. And relax into the big leather chair for the shave of your life.
What do you want?
A balcony so high it looks down into soccer matches at BC Place.
A pub I can walk to with a dozen big screens.
Kevin O'Toole has created findaproperty.ca to help you find it. Designed to be simply straightforward, findaproperty.ca is an invaluable tool. That's Kevin O'Toole, Roy LePage, Sussex, for buyers and sellers in the greater Vancouver area like you. So find what you want.
A backyard big enough for my own soccer pitch.
At findaproperty.ca.
This is CISL Vancouver. Smooth and easy. CIL's.